Hi, this is Weekly Boogey, and our mission is to make your life easier than ever. And what better way to start than suggesting our topics for the best smartphones under the 20k price tag? So, without any further ado, let's take a look. Now comes the category most of you guys might be interested in, the best camera phones. Since we cannot compare these camera phones with the best out there, so we need to keep in mind their price tag and judge accordingly. First up, in the camera category, we have a familiar brand, the Moto G5 S Plus by Moto. The phone ships with Android 7.1 stock and the upgrade to Android 8.0 is confirmed. The display is a 5.5-inch Full HD IPS LCD screen. Also worth mentioning is that the phone is splash resistant and has an IP67 rating, so a little bit of raining won't hurt the device. Snapdragon 625 is used to power this device with an Adreno 506 GPU, making it an average decent multitasker. It has a 3000 mAh battery, which should have been better given the size of the phone. The camera on this is a 13 megapixel rear and an 8 megapixel front, which is better than most cameras out there. The device is dual SIM as well if you prefer it, and has a dedicated SD card slot expandable up to 256 GB. The G5S Plus ships in two variants, a 32GB model with 3GB of RAM and a 64GB model with 4GB of RAM. In the camera bracket, we have a relatively newer name, the Honor 8 by Huawei. We have Android 6.0 on this one, upgradable to 7.0. The screen is a 5.2-inch Full HD IPS LCD display. Honor 8 is powered by high silicon Kirin 950 chipset and a Mali T880 GPU. The hardware in itself is not new but gives a decent performance for regular loads. The phone has a 3000 mAh battery and also supports fast charging. Rear camera on the device is a 12 megapixel with f2.2 aperture and dual tone LED. Front camera is 8 megapixel with f2.4 aperture, suitable for selfies in mediocre light conditions. Slot on the Honor 8 is a hybrid dual SIM card slot which can accommodate a micro SD card up to 256 GB. The Honor 8 ships in two variants, the 32GB model and the 64GB model, both with 4GB of RAM. So Mi A1 is our third contender in the camera bracket. It ships with Android 7.1.2 and is upgradable to 8.0. A1 has a 5.5-inch HD IPS LCD display, a Snapdragon 650 and an Adreno 510 GPU, giving it an edge over other camera contenders. The device has a 12 megapixel dual camera with dual LED flash and 2x optical zoom. On the front we have a 5 megapixel cam sensor which leaves more expectations than results. The A1 packs a 3080 mAh battery and supports fast charge. It also supports USB Type-C and is the second phone on our list with this feature. It has a hybrid dual SIM slot and ships in two variants, one with 2GB of RAM and 16GB ROM, another with 3GB of RAM and 32GB ROM. So much for a good camera. Now if you are a power user, you can very well understand the importance of having a larger battery in a handheld device, which is exactly what we will be looking for in our battery category. Talking of good battery life, we have the Lenovo P2, another phone from Lenovo making it to the list. The phone ships with Android 6.0 and yes, it is also upgradable to 7.0. The P2 has a 5.5-inch Full HD Super AMOLED display. Under the hood on this one, we have a Snapdragon 625 and an Adreno 506 GPU to go along with it. The hardware may not be that strong, but the phone has some other new features covering up for it. First of those other features is a 5100 mAh battery, a fingerprint scanner, rocket charge tech. 15 minutes of charge can last you a whole day without a sweat. Dual SIM card slots for those of you who have Geo numbers and even NFC support. Another phone fighting in the battery section is Redmi's Note 4. It is the successor of Redmi's popular Note 3 device and has a few new upgrades to show off. It comes with Android 6.0.1 and yes, it is upgradable to 7.0. It's a 5.5-inch Full HD IPS display on this one as well, a Snapdragon 625 chipset and an Adreno 506 GPU, which all in all is decent enough. The battery on this device is also big, packing 4100 mAh. The Note 4 has a hybrid dual SIM card slot, once again that is great, and it comes in two variants, one with 2GB of RAM and 32GB storage and another with 4GB of RAM and 64GB storage. Battery on the Max 2 is a 5300 mAh brick, big enough to last a whole day without breaking a sweat. The phone also supports fast charging, so it's a win-win. Another detail worth mentioning is that the phone supports USB Type-C, which is a new thing and rare thing actually in this price range we are discussing. Max 2 has a 12 megapixel rear camera with f2.2 aperture and dual LED flash, and a pretty weak 5 megapixel front camera only suitable for regular uses such as FaceTime. It's not a good selfie option if you wanna know. Slot on this one is also a hybrid dual SIM card slot, and the phone ships in 3 variants: 32 gigs, 64 gigs and 128 gigs, all with 4 gigs of RAM. Some people care a lot about the raw performance of their device, and if you are that some people, this performance category is just for you. Next up, we have Redmi Note 3. Now this is quite a familiar name as the phone was in huge demand before its successor came. Taking a quick look at the features here, the phone ships with Android 5.1.1 and is upgradable to 6.0.1. It has a 5.5-inch Full HD IPS display. Under the hood, we have a Snapdragon 650 chipset and an Adreno 510 GPU, which is powerful enough for your average gaming needs. Apart from the hardware and software performance, the Note 3 also packs a 4050 mAh battery, which is a major plus at the price range it falls in. The next phone on our list is UZ2 Plus from Lenovo. Now Lenovo has been around for a while and is a popular choice among brand leechers. The phone ships with Android 6.0 and is upgradable to 7.0. It has a 5-inch Full HD IPS display, so people looking for smaller devices can take a look. Under the hood, we have a Snapdragon 820 chipset and an Adreno 530 GPU, making this phone one of the best performance bikes in its category. It has a 3500 mAh battery, not the biggest but still better than most. Sadly, the phone has only one variant that ships with 4 gigs of RAM and a 64 gigs non-expandable storage. For the list, if you enjoyed the video and found something useful out of it, then don't hesitate to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos to come every week. This is Weekly Boogey, signing out.